The New Orleans jail worker thought he was unclogging a toilet when he was cutting that water off. Say it ain't so, Sterling Williams, 33-year-old jail maintenance worker. Thought you was unclogging a toilet? That shit sounds good. When I first heard about Sterling Williams, the maintenance worker, getting arrested for cutting off the water, I immediately was like, yo, he's in on it. They had to have paid this guy, or there was something and some reason why he did this, whether it was a friends and family plan or something along those lines. But then after I share that information, I sit there and I think about it a little bit further. I'm like, yo, it just doesn't really seem plausible that he would be in on this, because the number one reason why he would be in on it, maybe in my opinion, is a financial reason. Hey, we'll pay you. Yo, whatever you want, we got you. But you look at these 10 guys who escaped and they probably don't got no money to be able to offer this guy anything financially. So then I start feeling like, maybe he was telling the truth about being threatened, and Tony Massey said he was going to shank him if he didn't do what these prisoners were asking, cut the water off. I was teeter-tottering where I landed here with why this guy was involved in this. Now, new news coming out saying that he thought he was helping to unclog a toilet. I was talking about this with a good friend of mine, Dave, yesterday, and he brought up the most valid point to this guy was definitely in on it. And that is, why did he wait to mention that they threatened to stab him only after he was caught? Why not come forward with this information once the coast is clear and them 10 guys are gone? Okay, looks like they made it across 10 lanes of traffic. Shucks, not one of them got hit by a car. Darn the luck. Jump on the phone right there, call somebody. Hey, yo, these guys threatened to stab me. If I didn't help them, they're going that way. But you didn't do that. No, you waited until you got caught. And then you said, hey, look, they threatened to stab me. I didn't have a choice. Did they hold you at gunpoint? I mean, shank point? And again, now more information is coming out about his rationale for cutting off this water. Headline that reads, New Orleans jail worker thought he was unclogging a toilet, not helping 10 escape, his lawyer says. New Orleans. 10 men who broke out of a New Orleans jail last week clogged a toilet to get the water shut off so that they could escape through a hole behind it. A lawyer for the maintenance worker who was charged with helping them said Wednesday. The worker, Sterling Williams, did not know about the men's plan and did not allow the inmates to cut the pipe behind the toilet to create an opening for their escape, his lawyer said. The defense lawyer laid out a very different narrative than that presented by authorities a day earlier when Williams, 33, was arrested. Authorities have said an inmate instructed Williams to cut off the water to the toilet, leading to one of the largest jailbreaks in recent U.S. history. 5 of the men remain at large on Wednesday. Williams, just a tool, lawyers say. His lawyer told the press that after deputies called Williams to fix a toilet, he found it overflowing. That's interesting information right there. The lawyer says that Williams was called to fix an overflowing toilet by a deputy? Where was this deputy at? This is first that we're hearing about any deputy. All I thought we had was a civilian who stepped away to get some food. Now we've got a deputy who's calling this maintenance worker to go fix this overflowing toilet. Did he go into the cell side of this housing unit without a guard? And maybe while he was in the cell, he was held at shank point and instructed as to what to do. This was clearly all a part of an orchestrated plan, Kennedy said. Williams was nothing more than a tool used to turn off the water. Okay. He turned off the water. Well, who disconnected the pipe? Oh, wait, they cut that pipe. That's right. With a makeshift tool, these prisoners did. I'm having a hard time following this. You cut off the water to fix this alleged overflowing toilet and clog, but you leave just enough time. And a lot of time, I imagine, too, because to cut through that pipe with some sort of makeshift device that these prisoners had access to is going to take some time. According to an arrest affidavit that made no mention of a clogged toilet, Williams was initially very evasive and untruthful. There we go. Now the real truth is coming out. During an interview, but ultimately told investigators that an inmate had threatened to shank him if he did not turn off the water. I would love to see the footage from this interrogation. It's got to exist. Could a Freedom of Information Act request grant access to this? Probably not, because this is still an open investigation, and I doubt that you can get anything like that until after the case is closed. But if they're saying that this guy was evasive and untruthful, well, obviously he didn't come forth with the information saying, hey, look, I really didn't want to have shit to do with this, but they threatened to kill me if I didn't. So you're sitting in there, twiddling your thumbs, weighing the pros and the cons. How serious is this really in your head? Did you ask immediately for a lawyer? Where's my lawyer? I want my lawyer. Where's my one phone call? Yeah, I'd love to see how this interrogation actually played out. Williams could have reported the threat, and the escape plan authorities have said they asserted that because Williams turned off the water, the inmates were able to successfully make good on their escape. The lawyer for Williams said that he did not report the escape because he was not aware it was happening. As I try to understand what took place from the time when the cell door of the handicap unoccupied cell where these guys would break free from was being jimmied and wrestling free, that defective lock, and that 1 hour gap in video footage from that time until we see these guys jumping off the back of the loading dock. In my mind, I'm imagining that Williams is right there with them the entire way, leading them through this place, helping them get to this loading dock. I could be completely wrong about this. I don't have any proof or further information. This is just completely my thought process here and opinion. And if it wasn't him, was it somebody else on the inside? We've already just had 2 additional women get arrested in relation to this case. But I'm thinking it possibly was this guy Williams. Again, I could be wrong about that. The lawyer also addressed authorities' statement that his client was threatened into helping the escape. He was not aware there was going to be an escape, the lawyer said. He was not conspiring with them. He had no knowledge that he was being used. What are we talking about? Now are we trying to recant the statement made that, hey, he was threatened that he would be shanked if he didn't comply? Yo, sometimes a lawyer can get involved and muck this whole thing up for you. He should have just stuck to that. A message was left seeking comment from the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office about the lawyer's remarks. The sheriff said Tuesday that she believes the escape was an inside job. Speaking of job, does that sheriff still have one? I know that she's just recently suspended her campaign efforts. Could you imagine seeing national coverage of this on your NBC nightly news, and during a commercial break, you see an advertisement for this sheriff for re-election? Elect me this upcoming election season. My thinking in relation to everything about her in this position of sheriff is she ain't gonna be that for very much longer. The Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams and Attorney General Liz Murrow, who have been at the forefront of this entire escape the whole way, toured the jail Wednesday morning. Williams told reporters after the tour, certainly more than one person was responsible for the escape, but declined to share further details. And also, speaking of further details, is there further video footage from this escape being carried out? And why do we only have the footage of the cell door being jimmied and these guys jumping off the back loading dock? Because if that's the only footage that exists throughout this entire escape taking place, yeah, this jail got a lot more problems than just some defective locks and a lack of staff and budget. Y'all better get some more cameras up in that place. Shanking comment was not a threat, lawyer says. It was a suggestion. What are we talking about here? Inmate Antony Massey, who approached Sterling Williams and said he would shank him as he was doing his maintenance work. Okay, so that answers the question that Sterling Williams was in the cell and sounds like without a guard accompanying him, was just talking to talk. Hey, you see the game last night? Yeah, bitch, I'm gonna shank you. Cut that water off. And not intimidating the maintenance worker, Kennedy, the lawyer, said. Everyone seems to have leaped on that, saying he was acting out of fear. No, Kennedy says. Yes, someone said they would shank him. They didn't say it in a particularly threatening manner. How else could you say something like that? I mean, if I sat here and I said, I'm gonna kill you, And I was laughing about it. I would imagine somebody would actually be more terrified hearing it that way than in an aggressive manner. I don't know what type of a lawyer this guy got right here, but if this is the type of representation you're getting at this point, so early in this ongoing active investigation, buddy, you're cooked when you go up into the courtroom trying to defend yourself for why you cut this water off and talk of being shanked and, hey, it was just talk and, yeah, the toilet was clogged, but it wasn't clogged. Like, there is a lot of mixed-matched information coming out with this particular story. They said it more as an aside. Sidebar, Your Honor. Hey, sidebar. Permission to approach the bench. Hey, bitch, I'm gonna shank you. I'm just. Yeah, man, I don't know. I can't see that not coming across in a threatening manner. Kennedy said the cell with the clogged toilet was for disabled inmates and should have never been in use. Obviously, considering they didn't have any disabled prisoners in that cell block. No one should have been in this cell to begin with, he said. This cell should have been locked down. It was. You ain't see the video? The one of only 2 videos that we got when they was wrestling that bitch open? It would seem obvious to me that filling up a toilet, clogging the toilet, was a portion of the escape plan, the lawyer said. They would know that whoever the maintenance person was would have to turn off the water because it was overflowing. A scapegoat. Kennedy, again, the lawyer for the maintenance worker, said he was only able to meet with Williams for around 30 minutes via Zoom. He did not ask Williams whether he had finished unclogging the toilet, whether he turned the water back on, or how long he was inside the cell. All of that makes perfect sense to me. You're not going to ask those questions that you don't want the answers to over undoubtedly a recorded Zoom call. You've got the feds, the ATF, you got everybody listening in on that. They're having a watch party down there in the watch commander's office. Williams did not know the name of the deputy who told him to fix the clogged toilet. You worked there. What you mean you don't know who told you? It was either Bob or it was Cheryl, like it was one of Merle. It was one of them, but you don't know. How long have you been in this position? Are you bad with names? Williams was worried about his safety and his future, his lawyer said. He's being held in a different facility in a separate parish. Okay, that's good information right there because I thought they had Buddy on the 7th floor, ironically given 10 violent prisoners escaped from the 1st floor in that jail that he worked in. But really interesting to hear about that. The most important thing that I've learned is that these charges are ridiculous. And the sheriff's office is trying to use him as a scapegoat to minimize their own embarrassment, Kennedy said. You know, that could actually be very much plausible. I won't even crack a joke at that because there could be a lot of truth to that. He did nothing more than the job they pay him to do, and now they're attempting to sacrifice him for it. Well, heads are going to roll, and somebody's going down with this Titanic with lead boots on. And unfortunately, right now, it's looking like it's going to be this guy. Williams is charged with 10 counts of principal to simple escape and 1 count of malfeasance in office. And then additional arrests being made. We've already talked about the 2 women that have just been arrested yesterday. Folks, that's all that we have on this particular story. I'm trying to keep you guys informed and as up to date as currently as possible. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment on this, letting me know exactly what you thought about all of this wildness that has been shared by the lawyer representing the maintenance worker who potentially is being sacrificed due to this massive escape. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted and make the most of every day. Peace!